and talk to you just a minute. Let me give you just a brief background of who I am and kind of give you an idea of. I retired after 25 years in law enforcement and actually went to work for First Financial a little over 5 years ago. And at the time, I was hired as one of their fraud investigators, and we only had 2 people in the entire fraud unit five years ago. As of yesterday, we've got 10. And I'm not going to dive off into actual cybersecurity so deep. What I'm going to show you is what happened today, people I talked to yesterday. And, you know, just like all the events that you talked about, it don't matter if it's an old scam, it can happen today. So they never go truly away. They just find new ways to put a spin on them. And so I will tell you, you as business owners are going to have to invest some money. You're going to have to invest in some training, or you will be a target of one of these incidents, and it'll cost you a lot of money. The banks had to do it. I can tell you some of the things that we've done in our call center. We've enhanced it where we have voice biometrics, where if you're one of our customers, you can sign in for voice biometrics, where it takes some of that burden off when you call in and try to do something in your account. We can match your voice to your voice biometrics where you don't have to go through so many hoops, because people want convenience. They do. They want, you know, I want to get my stuff done. Everything's urgent, and so we're constantly doing that. Some of the other threats that we've seen is these fraudsters going out here and they're spoofing the bank's phone numbers, where when you get a phone call and this person says, I'm so-and-so First Financial Bank, you look at your caller ID, it says First Financial Bank, shows their phone number. Well, that has you drop your guard. You think you're talking to the bank, and they ask you for a password, and you're like, well, you know what? They've always said they'll never ask for a password, but it's the bank. It shows on the phone. It's not the bank. Okay? So I don't care who this person is on the phone talking to you. I don't care what that caller ID says. I can spoof your phone right now. If I know your phone number, I can call you and show you're getting a phone call from your own phone. So just don't weigh into that. Always remember, I don't care who's calling you. I don't care if they say they're the FBI, Federal Trade Commission, your bank. Verify, verify, verify. And the bank has spent a lot of money. We spend a lot of money now. Just simply we have gone out and taken the time now, because that was creating a lot of heartache for our customers. It didn't cost the bank money because it was our customers that were missing it. But it was causing a lot of grief. And so we're spending a lot of money now where we're paying companies where you cannot spoof our numbers. And so there's all kinds of technology that's rolling in now every day to this type of stuff. You know, we have meetings every week with our cybersecurity team. What can we do to better enhance it? One of the big things that we do is we test our employees all the time. And I mean, we will send you an email and try to get you to click on that phishing link. And if you do, you don't want to do it too many times. You won't be working for us. So, and you know, you say, well, who fails it? Well, I'll rat out everybody here. You know, everybody from the CEO down has failed one, because we make them real. We really do, and you have to do it. And we have it in our Outlook 365 that each employee has, where your email is, that it'll come across there. And if you believe it's phishing, I warn everybody that if you're not sure, all you do is you go up on a link and you hit phishing, and it shoots it to our IT people. And there's a little trick. If the email goes away, it was phishing. If you don't see anything for a minute, they'll send you an email and go, hey, Billy, that's a real email. That's better than failing the test, I can tell you. And so we have a lot of those type proactive programs that we are always monitoring, because we've got a lot of employees. And I heard the gentleman say here, one of the biggest things is they always put something there, urgent, time crunch. Here's what fraudsters are looking for. First is an opportunity. Second, can they make it urgent? And third, can they put some kind of fear? Because if they can get those 3 elements in there, the chances of you falling for it go way up, way up. So that first thing you read on that line on that email with that link is going to be urgent, time sensitive. So automatically how many of us will just skim through an email? And don't do that. And like we were talking, a lot of times you're on your phone, you can't see the stuff on it as well. So you just got to be very cautious with it. So one of the things that I wasn't asked to talk about in this is, and I have put some in here, and if I have time I want to talk to you about it, is elder exploitation. If I had to tell y'all, business compromises is big, but it don't even touch what we see on elder exploitation every day. And the crowd in here today, I'm talking about most of you as parents or grandparents, that you need to be aware of this, because we're seeing people lose their life savings really quickly. And if I get a minute, I want to touch on that because it's dear to my heart, because I see it every day. Every day. And I will tell you what has caused the spike in it. The spike in it is because of this internet. The things that we have were, and I will tell you who the victims are. Usually it's someone that's been married 30, 40 years. All of a sudden their wife or their husband passes away. For the first 30 days or so, you know what? Their family's around them, the church is around them, everybody's around them. Well, everybody has a life. And after about 30 to 45 days, it goes away, and guess where they're at? At home alone. They've never been alone for 40 years, so where do they lean to? They lean to the internet. And you don't have to get on the internet but about 15 seconds, and somebody's going to be, I'm looking for husband. And the next thing you know, those things start and they end bad, really bad. So I'm going to visit with you about that for just a minute, because it's dear to my heart and it affects so many people all the time. So with that being said, let me move forward, and whoever's got their eye on their clock, be sure and say, hey, you got to quit talking, okay? Because this is dear to my heart. I tell you guys, working in law enforcement for 25 years, I saw a lot of people and I saw a lot of bad things. But I'm going to tell you, when I went to work for the bank, I thought, well, there's no big deal here. No big deal. I was wrong. I see victims that nobody ever hears about. I see people lose their life savings. I see companies that are trying to get through it, and all of a sudden, they don't verify a wire. They don't verify something, and they lose $500,000. And they're like, what happened? And it's gone, just like this. And that's hard. If you're a new business starting out, not many people want to take a $500,000 hickey. And that happens. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then I'll try to answer your questions and stuff as we go through there. One of the biggest things we're talking about, you know, when we talk about this, and y'all brought it up, this started out, is phishing and social engineering. You know, we want to trust people, but you got to verify. Trust them, but verify anything, whether that be an email through a trusted source, because I heard him say that, you know, it looked real, and they put those words in there, urgent. If you're skimming through this, you're setting yourself up for failure. I'm telling you are. The other thing is, don't click on anything. If you don't know what that link is, do not click on it. Okay, just don't do it. And that could be in an email. That may be a text on your phone. How many of y'all have got these where you've got a toll due? The text or that, or DMV or something, you know, and it's $4. So in society, we want instant gratification. You're like, well, you know what? I don't want to have to call them. Let me just click on that, pay my $4, and I'm gone. You just opened up a can of worms. It's not going to be a good day for you. So I'm telling you, just slow down. The other thing is, you know, ransomware and malware. If any of y'all paid attention to this, where one of your employees kicks on there and all of a sudden your entire system. The city of Abilene just went through this. And they learned some very valuable lessons here. I don't know if we've got anybody here with the city of Midlothian, but, you know, city of Abilene, all their systems from city hall to the fire department, the police department, everything was all tied together. It shut everything down. It cost them millions of dollars. So I'm just telling you, think about it. You may want, if you've got that large of a business, you may have certain ones go through a designated server versus another one where it don't just totally shut down everything you have. So keep that in mind. So make sure what you do on this, and keep up, obviously, with updates and that type of stuff. And that's just like our bank. It's automatically done. Our IT people keep up with these updates and make sure everything's updated at all times. Obviously, another one is weak passwords. And when I look and see, and this is usually not so much on the business side versus people, consumers, where, you know, their password is their name. Their password is their dog's name. And let me tell you, these fraudsters know to go look on your social media, and usually your password is on there. It's going to be your dog's name, your kid's name, kid's birthday, and people don't use a big, long password. And I know a lot of people use these. Any of y'all use an aggregator that keeps all your stuff? They work great till they get the password to your aggregator, and then you're totally wiped out. So just be aware of that, okay, on what you've got going on there. So be careful about that. And then also, obviously, your computer updates and stuff, we talked about that. And then the last thing is your insider threats. That is probably one of the biggest ones where you have an employee that don't pay attention and they click on it. So that's why the bank actually, that's why we test our employees, because that's probably our weakest link into when you're sitting there and you got 1,800 people in that email system. How easy would it be to, all it has to have is one person and it can shut down the whole system. So keep that in mind on that part of it. Here's some of the different types of cyber fraud when we talk about it. We talked about phishing and spear phishing on the emails and that type of stuff. They look like they're from a legitimate source, maybe credit card numbers, all type of stuff. And, maybe that ransomware, maybe simply identity theft. Probably the one we see more than anything is this business email compromise. I know we had one realtor in here, I heard somebody say a while ago, title companies, man, they target title companies. I know we've got some attorneys in here. I have worked numerous cases where they're doing attorneys with, their accounts and stuff. They know, what, if I can get somebody to mess up one time, we're going to get a big payoff. I'm telling you right now, our bank, I don't care who it is, if the title company says, here's the final payoff, we need you to wire the money to here, before that wire is sent out, our banker is going to call the known number for that business, not the number that's in that email. And I highly suggest you do that. It may take you an extra minute or two, but it could sure save you a whole lot of money. Verify. Because these business email compromises, you will not recognize it. They will change one little thing in these emails, and society's in a hurry, and you just absolutely overlook it. Next thing you know, you send that wire out. And we've had people send a wire and then realize, that wasn't right, and we immediately do a recall. These fraudsters are sitting there just waiting on it to hit, and immediately it's moved. So business email compromises are probably one of the biggest issues we see. One of the ways we're seeing it now in these business email compromises is it won't be where they target a wire or something. What they're doing is they will simply sit here and let's say you're a business and you're sending out, you're getting invoices from your suppliers. And they will sit there and they will catch an email coming in for, say, an invoice for $500,000. And they have control with that email. They've got your box. They see everything that's coming in it. And they basically sit there and they will recall that email right quick and send you another one with different wiring instructions, different place to do an ACH. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to send it to the wrong place. So, you have to verify. And then obviously the malware, that's a big one. Let me show you on this. They did a recent survey on this and asked people, professional people, how many of you have been affected by a cyber-enabled fraud in the past 12 months? And 62% said yes, either a phishing, or smishing attack. 37% on payment fraud, 32% on identity theft. Those are big numbers. And they're not going down, I promise you. They're going up every day. So just keep that in mind. When you see numbers like this where we're talking about 73% have been affected by it, that's way high. So if you haven't, it's a high probability that someone will target you. So you've got to stay on top of this stuff. When we talk about the business emails, we'll go into it a little bit different. Through social engineering, through computer intrusions and stuff, all they're trying to do, we've worked some cases where they may have been in that email for a year before they actually make a move because they're waiting for that one big payoff. And so when we go to look in the back and we're trying to help them and their IT people and we're trying to figure out, you know, to recover the money, we're trying to do an investigation and get with law enforcement, there's been multiple times where they have been in that system for a long period of time. So I tell you, you've got to have your IT people running and checking your systems and verifying this stuff. And it needs to be set up on a set schedule where they're sitting there looking at it. There's all kinds of companies out here now that monitor that stuff for you and can tell you when there's an intrusion into it. So, you know, you're like, golly, but that's going to cost a lot of money. It will cost money. But it's going to cost you a lot of money at some point if you don't catch these things. So some of the things you can do is obviously one of the things, if it's a domain type spoofing attack, go out there and look at your company. Is there other domains that are very similar? You may want to pay that small fee, you know, and register those yourself. Create rules and flags in your emails. You know, Microsoft Outlook, which most people use, have a lot of rules and a lot of flags that you can do it. Obviously monitor and restrict creation of new emails, multi-factor authentication. Everything we do at the bank is tied to, you spend a lot of time every morning just getting on the computer, getting on your email, and you're like, oh. And we have a huge IT department where, okay, you need your password reset, you need this redone, because it gets monotonous. But it's better than the alternative. I can just assure you it really is. And then the biggest thing is train your employees on what to look for. And that's where we actually target our employees and try to get them to click on the links, because, you know, when the hit list comes out of who's failed, nobody likes that list. Nobody likes that list. You want to be on the list at the end of the year like, you know what, Danelle did great. She never clicked on one. She passed with glowing colors. She gets a gold star. So that's the list you want to be on these type deals. So here's some of the other things to look at it. And I mean, these are some true deals when you look at them. It's just the little bitty things that they actually change on these. Every one of them are, like we talked about, secrecy or urgency. Every fraud, a lot of the frauds that we're getting with our elderly people, urgency. And the first thing they tell them is the bank's going to ask you why you're withdrawing all that cash. You're going to have to lie to them. Okay, if someone tells you to lie to your bank, that ought to be the first thing you do is hang that phone up. And what I don't understand is we'll call the customer when we figure out what's going on, and they're like, well, they told me not to tell you all the truth. I'm like, have you ever met this person? No. How long have you banked with us? 34 years. Do we not have a better relationship that you trust our banker for 34 years rather than somebody you just met on Telegram? Or I could tell you a whole lot of apps that they meet on and talk on and stuff. So think about this, guys. And then one of the biggest things that we pay attention to is consistency with earlier payments. If all of a sudden you get an invoice from a vendor and they send it to you, and then within 10 minutes, oh, I'm sorry, we're having trouble with our bank there. Would you send the payment for that over here? You receive that within 5 or 10 minutes after you receive an invoice, you need to hit the brakes, and you need to hit them hard. Don't call the number that came in on that new invoice. Call the company that sent it to you and talk to someone personally. Biggest thing. So the other thing, confirm. Using alternate communications, like we talked about. Do not call the number that came in on the email. You look it up. And let me give you some warning. We're having a lot of customers that they have an issue with Amazon. They go to Google and hit Amazon customer contact. Some of the very first two you will find on Google right now are fraudsters with Amazon stuff on them. So just be aware of what you have there also, what you see on the internet. So ask the sender. Worst thing you done, is you're just reconfirming it and doing it. And one of the biggest things is you need to have dual controls. And what I mean by that, if you got somebody that's in your accounts payable, that they send out wires, that's their responsibility, or the ACHs or whatever they do. Everybody has bad days. Anybody that tells you they've never made a mistake, get away from them, it's coming. So I'm just telling you, have dual controls. because that one person may have read that email, urgent, 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 and they're having a bad day at home. They're thinking about something that happened to their kids and they're off their game. All it takes is a split second where you have that person, you look at it, like, it's good to go, but you know what? I want you to take a quick look at it. It will pay big dividends. Because we have seen some of our big customers where they've had someone that's worked in their accounts payable for 15, 20 years, done a fantastic job, and all they had to do is have one bad day, and it cost somebody their entire account. So I'm telling you, get dual controls on anything. And I'm not saying on every invoice. You know, you're going to pay a $50 light bill or cell phone bill, okay, but just get within reason. Any invoice over $2,000, $5,000. I don't know your business. $5,000 may be too high, maybe $500. You have to make those determinations, but just understand somebody needs to have a second set of eyes on this because it happens that quick, very quickly. So anything, coach your employees, learn the habits, be conscious, and last, I'm telling you, if your bank calls you and tells you you're being defrauded, slow down a minute and just say, okay, can I talk to somebody and tell me why? Because we have a lot of software. I can tell you guys, our daily, and some people may get aggravated at us. We have a lot of services up front that I'm going to talk to you about, and I encourage you, whoever you bank with, if you have a business, you need to be on their positive pay system, where when you write a check, it's what we call positive pay, where at the end of the day, your accountant may write 15 checks. They put them in the bank system, and it's payee match. It's also amount matched and check number match. And when it hits the bank, it's in the system. We're like, yes, that matches the payee, that matches here, and you have protection. Versus if you don't, let's say I paid an invoice for computers, and I paid an invoice out of my company for $100,000. I put the invoice, I put the check in the mail. Whatever I did, it went out and it got stolen out of the mail. I don't know that it never made it to the vendor. 60 days later, they're calling me going, hey, Billy, are you going to pay us for these computers? I'm like, well, I sent you a check and it's cleared the bank. Well, we didn't get it. And that's when you're like, uh-oh. That's when this system will pay out for you because it protects you. There's nothing going to go out of that account till you approve it. And yes, it is time consuming, but it don't. I own a business myself, and I don't write very many checks, but I'm telling you, I would not be without it. And I'll tell you why here in a minute. Is there's so many checks being stolen out of the mail right now. If I just absolutely. This is what I work every day. Just last month, I actually sat down with my accounts payable person and said, we're done with checks. We're done. I'm seeing too many. You need to call the bank. We need to get it set up on positive pay. We need to be able to send ACH directly to these people because it just scares me. I've seen it way too often where people are getting to it. So I'm telling you, there's too many easier ways to do this that are a whole lot more secure. So think about this. Talk to your local bank on some of the services they provide for you. Yes, it will be a charge, but I'm telling you, and I'm not telling you because I work for a bank. I own a business. I do it myself. And most of them call it positive pay. Do you know what other banks call it besides ours?
That's
pretty common. And we've got bankers here, and it's basically a check and balance system. And I will tell you, I told you we've got 10 people at work. We have a program that monitors every account we have. And it learns your spending habits. It monitors your checks. It looks at the signatures. It looks at the check numbers. It does everything. So every morning when we walk into the office, we will see probably 300 alerts. So our team sits down and they've got where they will pull a check that's alerting for some reason. It may be that it's a check number jump or whatever it may be. We can actually pull a check you wrote last week, lay it over it, look at it, see if the font's the same, look at all that. And if we still can't tell, we used to use our bankers and call them. Now we immediately, our fraud team will call you and say, hey, John, check number 2121 is sent to this vendor. It's for $9,800. Is that a good check? No, sir, that's not a good check. We immediately stop it. Money don't go out of your account. We have software that does that, and banks are being very proactive, but still they cannot catch it all. So just understand there's a lot of tools being used, but you've got to do your part in this. You have to. So now, some of the other things, and these are kind of things that you want to pay attention to on emails and stuff. And these are not absolutes, but if you see one of these, you need to go, whoa, wait a minute. If you see the word kindly used in it, now that's a British dialect. We don't use that very much. That does not automatically mean that it's fraud. But if I'm sitting there reading an email and all of a sudden there at the bottom it says kindly, I know that person is probably not in this country. Or if they are, they came into the country. And I'm just telling you, this is what I'm telling you, this is stuff we look at every day, and these are the common denominators. One of the other things when they ask for payments and it says USD, that's usually not somebody from this country sending that, okay? We know it's US dollars. That's what that stands for. But it's the little things that most people don't pay attention to, okay? So if they insist on a certain payment method that may be different than you normally would pay a vendor, that would be deal. Payment instructions is out of state, and you know their business is not out of state. If you do business in Midlothian, why would you have an account in Oklahoma? That should be a red flag. And these are the little bitty things. So same thing as the payment is supposed to be going to a company, but all of a sudden they're like, no, make it out to Joe Smith. And people do it every day. So just these are some of the things that we see a lot. So here's an example of it. When you look at this, good morning, Jennifer. Here's the information as requested. And you look at it, and it's got the information. We're going to send it to Bank of America. What do y'all see in that? Anything that bothers anybody? Okay, good deal. There you go. How many of y'all see that right there, the word kindly down in the bottom? What else do you see? Where's the payment going to? To Virginia. Where's the business? Okay. The phone number. Where would that phone number up there on that top one be? Fort Worth area. So look at that, guys. When you look at it, read that sentence right there, Bert. Is that, I'm country, okay? But that's not proper English, okay? Here are the information as requested. And you think, people don't do this. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So you have a phone number that does not match Virginia. You have the word kindly. So you've got several red flags right here that there's no way that I would ever send that payment. I would hit the brakes and go, okay, wait a minute. I need to get in touch with Acme Construction Services. And this is all made up stuff, but these are office stuff we see every day, okay? So you think, well, I would see that. If you're in a hurry, you won't. If you're in a hurry, you definitely will not. So I just told you this. This is where positive pay, in my opinion, pays for itself daily, is these stolen checks. I don't know about you guys. If you're still mailing checks out, that's okay. You just better be checking your bank statements every day. You need to verify with your vendors that these payments are getting there. I would really think about it. We actually have software that monitors the dark web. And let me tell you what happens. You go out here and you get your checks made for the day, and your accounts payable person says, I'm going to go eat lunch. I'm going to drop the checks off in the mail. They swing through the handy-dandy little blue boxes out on the street, and they shove them in there, and you don't think anything about it. Next thing you know, they are on the dark web for sale. We monitor the dark web. We have a company that does that for us. Every morning we'll get an email, and it'll have a picture of a check. It won't have all the identifiers on it. It won't have the routing number and account number on it. It'll have the name of the business. The check number will be on. We have a system where we can run that through and identify which one of our customers that is. We immediately contact that customer and says, you're fixing to get hit with fraud because this check just got put on the dark web for sale. They will take that check, and they may sell 10,000 copies of that one check for $8. And there you go. Sometimes you get a little humor out of this. One of our presidents from our southern regions, one morning I get I opened the email. I was the first one there, and here's a copy of this stolen check, and it's one of our president's wife's check. And it shows us on there how much it's for sale for, right? And his wife's check is for sale for $2.50. So I called our president, and I said, I'm sorry, but your checks are for sale on the dark web. Really? Well, how much are they getting for them? I said, $2.50. He's like, well, you would think the president of a bank, they'd charge more for my checks. I said, I guess not. So, you just don't know whose checks you're going to find. So this is just food for thought for you guys on these stolen checks. But I will tell you this, if you have anyone that's putting checks in these blue boxes, you need to stop. This has happened in Fort Worth where mail carriers are getting robbed. And they're getting what they call the skeleton key. The skeleton key opens all of these boxes. So they will have one of those keys, and guess where they go sell those keys for a lot of money? The dark web. So the next thing you know, you will have groups going by, opening these up and stealing everything out of there and getting those checks. And instead of forging, either they wash the checks and sell them, get somebody to deposit them, or they sell them on the dark web. And it's hard to catch the person on the dark web selling them. So I'm just telling you guys, this is a huge problem right now. I would never use one of those. At least if you're going to use checks, carry it in the post office. Okay? And that's every day. And I highly recommend you talking to your bank about positive pay and also what we call payee match. Not just you need payee match. In other words, who's the check made out to? Because if it's stolen out of the mail, a lot of times all they will do is they will do a wash on it and take the name of the person that it's being paid to and put someone else's on it. And you're like, well, somebody's going to come in and cash it. They do. But a lot of times what they do is they get some person, a street person or someone that's hard up for money, and they get them to try to go to the bank, and they will cash a $10,000 check, and they pay them $100, and there you go. So the person you're getting is just the low person on the totem pole. So I highly recommend you visit with your bank about positive pay. It can save you a lot of heartache, Same way with these common scams. Some of them I want to tell you about right quick, and this is one we're seeing. And this is where you will actually get a phone call, and this person will tell you they're with your local sheriff's office, they were with the FBI, there was somebody. And the latest one is they call you and say, sir, you missed jury duty, and we found you in contempt of court, and so you're going to have to post a bond or we're going to come arrest you. The only people this affects is good people, because if I got that, I'd go, did I miss jury duty? I don't want to be in trouble. And so here comes this urgency real quick. If you don't put up that bond, we're going to come arrest you. Well, nobody wants that. Nobody, I don't want them coming to my work and arresting me for missing jury duty. So this guy says, but we have this thing working, sir. You can put up this bond. Put up the bond, and then you have your day in court and can explain, did you lose it in the mail? Did your kids get it out of the mail and throw it away? There are things that are excusable, and if you can show to the courts that you missed it, not just on purpose, it was an accident, then you get your bond money back. You think you're going to get it back? No. Okay, so what they will do is then they write down here, y'all may not be able to read this, but this says all payments are made directly to the court through the sheriff's office with Zelle, Apple Pay, Venmo, PayPal, or in-person payment at a kiosk. Anybody know what that kiosk is? Bitcoin ATM at one of your little small convenience stores. Anybody ever seen those? I'm going to show you a picture of them here in a minute. Number one thief in the country right now, okay? They will even tell you that machine down there at that gas and go, whatever it may be, it is a government-approved machine. You can put it in there, and that payment will come directly to the courts. And you think, well, nobody's going to fall for that. We've had a bunch of them. Fall for it. And here's the thing they will do. They will tell you, but I want you to understand, you cannot tell anybody. And man, you're going to need to stay on the phone with me while you go do this, because any confidentiality breach, and you're also in contempt of court. So they keep you on the phone, and you get down there to that ATM in that machine, and you're putting them $100 bills in it. All of a sudden, your phone's going to go dead. And then they're going to call you back and go, we lost connection. You're in contempt of court. We're going to have to issue another warrant. Your bond on this one is going to be, it's going to be a $50,000, so we're going to need another $5,000. And how many times are you going to just keep playing this game? I can tell you one person, and this was not an elderly person. This person was about 40 years old. He went through 3 cycles before he realized this wasn't working. And you know what caused him to do that? Because he had a very good job. He had teenagers in the house. So in his mind, what do you think he was thinking? Kids probably threw the jury summons away. I know the guy says I can go to court and show I didn't do this, so I'm going to get my money back, and I sure don't want them to come arrest me. And so they do it. Now, anyone that's been around the criminal justice system for any period of time, a couple things when you read this. And if you start doubting them, they go, give me your email, I'll email you a copy of the warrant for your arrest. First off, the sheriff's office does not collect payments for federal court. Okay. Second off, if you look at this signature, it says issuing officer's signature. A police officer does not issue a warrant. A judge does. So, I mean, these are all just totally bogus. Totally bogus. But they build fear, urgency, and they put it in your mind that you're going to be embarrassed. We're going to embarrass you. We're going to come arrest you. You know, so if you get one of those, I highly recommend, and no, none of them are going to take those payments, okay? Yes, sir.
In your vast police career, has anybody been arrested for missing security?
No. And I worked many years as a criminal investigator in the district attorney's office. I see this read. If we got there and we didn't have enough people for it, I have seen a time where the judge says, we're going to take a 2-hour recess, and he would pull a bunch of officers in and go find them. Get me a quorum in here where we can have it. And unfortunately, it's a small town. We knew where people work, like, come on, you got to go or they're going to. But no, they don't. And could it happen? Yes. In theory, it could happen. And that's what builds that fear. That's what builds the fear. But yes, and these are true scams. This is not just a one-time deal. I can tell you 3 of these that I know of that have happened within the last 90 days. And every one of them lost money. So, yes, sir.
It's happened to my dad. And my dad's pretty smart.
Yes.
But he pulled them out of Home Depot.
Yes.
And made him go to the bank and pull out $5,000.
Yes.
And when he was telling me about this, I was like, you're playing with me, right? Like, I know you.
Yeah.
You're smart. And he's like, no, I was really about to deposit this money, and then something just didn't seem right. And I went, yeah.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. But you know, and this is what I tell everybody, and this may not be politically correct, but who they get is good people, because your dad's wanting to do the right thing. Well, you know what? If I missed it, you know what? So be it. I need to follow the rules. So he's gonna do it, and he knows that by the rules, it should all work out right at the end. So he's willing to put his money up. Versus if you call someone that's been through the criminal justice system, that has been arrested 47 times, and somebody calls them and goes, we've got a warrant for your arrest. What are they going to tell them? Good luck finding me, right? I mean, that's the real world. So I wonder how many people they have to call before they get the good person like your dad.
I just tell him, come see me at the door. Right.
Oh, me too. And I had one call me, and he didn't know I was an ex-cop. I'm like, I played a game with him for a minute, like, really, you got a warrant for my arrest? And then, it was like, well, what deputy are you going to send to get me? So I know him. I'll call him, tell him where I'm at. Have a good day. So, and I do not recommend you playing games on the phone with these people. Just hang up. Just hang up on them, okay? I hate to see your dad went through it, but I'm glad he called you. I'm glad he called you. So it does happen. The text scams, we talked about these a little bit, and like I said, this one here is showing that First Financial Alert. One of the things I want you to pay attention to when you get these, if you get a text message from our bank or any other bank, if you pay attention up here on the top, guys, if it's a 10-digit phone number, that's not coming from our bank. That's not coming from a bank. It should be an 8-digit code. If you see an email like this, that's not, that. You think that came from DMV? And so just slow down a minute and take a look at them before you click on them. But what they're hoping you're going to do, here's the things we're talking about, all right? One of them is that fear. Please pay immediately. There's the rush. Here's report to DMV, suspend your vehicle registration. You also see in there where you may be arrested, you may be prosecuted, and your credit score will be affected. So they're trying to build that fear. And if this is a $5 fee, what do? Oh, that's just $5. I don't want to mess with this. And you click on that link, and now you're in trouble. So just pay attention to these. And if you get one of these that you believe is not truly from your bank, call the bank. Call the known number to the bank. Now, remember, they may spoof the bank's number. We've got it shut down for right now on ours, but I'm just telling you that they're doing it every day. So your bank may or may not have it where they can do that. Text scams are a huge deal. I'll show you another one. How we doing on time? Okay, let me run through this just a couple of slides, okay? Up to 5 million older Americans are abused annually, guys. Up to 26% of them are being financially exploited. Let me show you another number here, okay? 28.3 billion in 2024. Now, here's what will make you really look. Estimated that only 1 in 24 cases are reported. So if all 24 cases was reported, every one of these, what do you think that number over here would be? Unbelievable. So why do these fraudsters keep doing it? Because they make a lot of money. And who are these people? Just like you get up and go to work every day, so do these fraudsters. They're good at it. And I get to speak to a lot of victims, and first they're mad, they're upset. They can't believe they fell for it. They're embarrassed. And like I tell every one of them, you're a victim. These people are good at what they do. They're very good at what they do. So I'm just telling you one of the things, this is one of those crypto machines. That is the number one thief from our senior citizens. In Abilene, there's about 30 of those. These are made where you can walk in here and put cash in there and invest in cryptocurrency. But any investor, I've heard, who's in investing in here? Somebody was. Okay. So would you get your duffel bag full of cash and walk into the gas station to invest in crypto? Anybody? No. And you're not going to do it. And so just understand, these things right here, they're not good. They're not good at all. So what can you do as maybe your parents, it may be your grandparents, you got to talk to them about it. At least tell them. If somebody tells you to go lie to the bank, hang up on them and call me. If somebody tells you to pull $20,000 cash out and go put it in one of these machines at the grocery store, call me. You've got to have these hard conversations with them, okay? A couple of other things you can do is obviously monitor their finances. Get their debit cards and put a text message on them where when they put their card in, you receive a text message. Not to micromanage your parents or your grandparents, but to pay attention because they can drain their bank accounts rather quickly. And sometimes they're not making the best judgment. One thing you'll have to understand, if it's your parents or your grandparents and let's say that they're by themselves, no one else is on that bank account, and we see something going on, our only recourse is, I may know that they have a son. I can't call him and talk to him about that account due to Bank Secrecy Act. The only recourse I have is to report it to Adult Protective Services. And so I'm telling you, you need to think about that with your parents and grandparents. Set up sometime. Monitor their online banking. where you can just go on and look at their bank account. And if you start seeing these large cash withdrawals to buy gift cards, to put in these Bitcoin machines, that are huge red flags, okay? One thing I want you guys and y'all, if you go to our First Financial website, ffin.com, up at the top, you're going to see an icon that says business, and then you see one that's going to say consumer. You can click on either one of them, and then over to the right, you're going to actually see our fraud prevention hub. It has pretty much every kind of fraud you can imagine. On the business side, it goes into a whole lot more detail than what I've gone into. You do not have to be a customer of First Financial. You're welcome to use it. You're welcome to share it with your family. The bank spends a lot of money keeping this updated every day. They've got people that update this on current trends, current things. And I tell you where we've used this a lot, and you may utilize it if it's a friend, family member that you believe is being taken advantage of. Usually you can go onto this either through the consumer side or the business side. Either one, you can look at it and look at scams, and you can go find the scam and read it that they're the target of. And we have used this tool to get our customer, you don't have to listen to me, go read this and then tell me, does this apply? And it does. So I encourage you to utilize this tool. It's a very good tool to a lot of stuff that you're welcome to use it in any way you can that might help you or your family. So I've ran through this fairly quickly, but I really wanted to talk to you just a minute about the elder stuff and make sure that everybody understands that, because it's dear to my heart, it's dear to the bank. We got to protect these people. There's way too much money being given out that goes overseas and goes to places that it shouldn't go. So, any questions? Yes, sir.
On the email, I'm like myself, I use Outlook 365 like I'm sure most people do. Is there anything on there that can protect against things coming in like this that you know of? They'll like show up in alerts or anything like that?
I don't know. Be honest with you, we have a whole team in the back that works on that and is always tweaking it. I wouldn't be the person that could give you a good answer on that, and I don't want to tell you something that's not true.
He was talking about setting up, flags and filters and things
Uh,
like that. You can, I can YouTube a lot of this stuff and say, hey, what alert can I put on for emails coming in? We have an external alert on all of ours if it's external. That's the first thing you see.
Yeah, and it does, and thanks for bringing it up. Any email that comes from external, it automatically flags it external. Be aware, do not click on any unknown links, and all kinds of rules like that that you can implement fairly easy. And all it does is just like that. The minute you look at it, external, do not click on it, it's just a constant reminder, because unfortunately we have to have those. But I know Microsoft Office 365, if you're using Outlook, they have all kinds of tools that our people set up on those and stuff that do help. So.
The other thing that's really good is in M365, if you use the flagging, if you use the reporting, the phishing, it takes an extra second to go click on that, but the algorithm starts to learn your behavior, and so it'll start to better flag what's coming in that's unusual.
That's good.
And 365 now, if y'all haven't used it, they've got Copilot and all this AI stuff. I mean, if you haven't played with that, oh my gosh. I mean, just the other day when I was getting ready for here, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to play with this. I had never used it before. And so I opened up Copilot and it says, what would you like a presentation? And I just said, build me a presentation on cybersecurity. And it asked a couple of questions and I hit enter. And it built a presentation. It's nothing on this one, but it built like a 15-slide presentation. I'm like, wow. And I mean, it did it just like that. So, yeah, I mean, you utilize those tools. Yeah. And most places we're concerned about, AI, especially older folks, or we're like, well, I don't know about that. But the younger generation has a better understanding of that. It's a common thing. And we need to embrace it. I'm not saying there's not going to be some glitches with it, but I can tell you what, I learned something just playing with it the other day, also on Excel and that type of stuff. Building spreadsheets and stuff. You basically just open up Excel and say, I want a column for name, I want a column for dollar amount, I want a column for this, and then would you like to keep a running total? It's like, well, sure, and just hit it and it built it. So, sometimes I have to get some of the younger people to go help me out on that. But there's all kinds of tools out here that will help you on this. Any other questions? Thank you for sharing about your father. That proves up a point that this is real. And anybody here that says, well, because I speak to victims every day, like, I didn't think I would ever fall for that. Well, nobody does. Nobody does. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I mean, I have to add to that. My mom, I love my mom, an only child. She's 92, and she still pays with checks.
Yeah.
And people send her gifts. And so over Christmas, somebody sent her a Christmas gift, probably with a check, and somebody had stolen the check.
Yes.
In the mail. So wonder what happened.
Yep.
With that. So, I mean, it's going to be hard to convince my 92-year-old to not pay with checks.
Yes.
Oh boy, but I'll
And
I'll have her call you, Billy.
okay. And there's other options on these checks. Most of your banks offer a bill pay check type deal. And that they're a little more. Everything adds a little more security to it. And
I'll drag her to the bank.
Okay.
Let her talk to them.
There you go.
Yeah.
And anything I can do, guys, that's my direct phone number. I do a lot of these presentations at civic groups. I do a lot at churches. And why I love doing them is I just did one this last Sunday at a church there in Abilene. And Monday morning I get a phone call from a lady and goes, I think I might have did something I shouldn't have. And she visited with me and I was able to walk her through it so it does help. So I'm telling you, share the information that you have, the knowledge you have. You don't know where it may help someone. It may save somebody a lot of heartache. So these type deals that you guys are putting on with the chamber are good. And we need to focus not only on businesses, but on our senior citizens. So thank y'all very much. I appreciate you. And anything First Financial can do for you, we've got some representatives here. If you're curious about Positive Pay, talk to your bank, get some of these tools in place before it happens to you. So thank y'all very much.